speaking to Jo and Sarah. So we've got Jo Woolf and Sarah Kerley-Burton, and they are running the PD Bootcamp course, which I have just finished doing myself, which I absolutely love. So welcome, both of you.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, I suppose first of all, I mean, I saw the course and immediately thought I want to do that, mainly because I love a course. So I'm constantly wanting to learn, and if I could be a student forever, then I would be. But I suppose what caught my eye about the course originally was just that, you know, I think we're all sort of like in this industry learning on the job, and you know, if there's any actual training, then it might have happened at university, and then we're all just kind of like, you know, winging it and like learning on the job. What made you guys decide to think about doing a course like this in the first place? Was there a demand? Was it something that you thought this is the perfect time with we're all in lockdown? You know, tell us a bit, maybe Jo, to start off with, you know, where did this idea come from for the course?
Well, I have been doing training alongside working on production for quite a long time, probably for about 10 years now, with DV talent and screen skills, but mostly in edit producing. But over lockdown, I wasn't on a production, and I was trying to juggle homeschooling with keeping sane. And Sarah and I started talking about courses that we could run that would fit into what we were doing and sort of keep the freelancers sort of engaged and sort of learning, which, like you, I absolutely love learning from others, and we both appreciated that there would be others in the same situation. And Sarah and I both do a lot of work in edits, and we often are looking at footage that has been shot by people who haven't been in the edit and therefore don't really know what is required, it seems. And we just started talking and thinking, do you know what, we should do a course to help those people, and whilst they're in lockdown not working, they would probably want to soak up knowledge and soak up the idea of being together. And so we started to offer it as a package.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have to say, I've been thinking about doing this kind of course for a very long time, particularly because I come from a shooting background. And so I know how difficult it is to be a self-shooting PD. I mean, I was very lucky as I came up through the ranks. I had some really amazing mentors that I sort of happened upon on my way up, but I also knew how rare that was. And for sort of each person who kind of played that role and taught me something, I felt like I should emulate that. So all throughout my career, I was always sort of mentoring people as they came up through the ranks, if you like. And then, as Jo says, I mean, we got talking. I mean, I knew she'd done lots of coaching. And I really wanted to kind of put together this course, and I just wasn't quite sure how to go about it. And obviously, Jo is very, very capable and, you know, instantly had loads of brilliant ideas. And so then we kind of started to pare it all down and, you know, look at all the different sort of aspects. And as we sort of, you know, have just been discussing, I mean, it's still an evolving thing because it is such a challenging, multifaceted role. And there isn't much out there, you know, in terms of support. You know, I'm very, very conscious, having been a PD, a series director, and a sort of senior edit producer in the edit, that actually people out in the field, you know, they've got a huge amount of responsibility, and they're not always getting the support that they need. And as you say, they haven't always, you know, there isn't really any kind of standardized training. You know, you do pick it up on the hoof. Sometimes you pick up bad habits, sometimes you pick up good habits. You know, I've had people parrot back things that they've been told by a series director, and I was just amazed that they've taken that as, you know, the sort of something that they should do, fix it in post or whatever. But then I've also seen, you know, many wonderful things. So we kind of thought, well, if we put together this course, then, you know, it will hopefully, I mean, it's obviously is a good time for people to upskill, but hopefully can give people that sort of support. And, you know, if you came away from it thinking I am doing some of the right things, then, you know, obviously that was part of the intention too, because I do think you can feel hugely like you're out there on your own, out in the field with a huge amount of responsibility. And you are sometimes going, oh, you know, am I making the right choices? Am I handling this all correctly? And, you know, have I come away with the right rushes? And, you know, have I done it sort of all to the best of my ability? So it was kind of looking at all those aspects, really. You know, that's kind of where it came from.
I mean, I think it was, you know, for me, I made loads of notes, and it was such a well thought out course because it was structured really well, and it was packed with loads of information. But I mean, I'm interested to find out, how did you decide what information to put in? How did you pitch it? I suppose, who is it for? Is it for people that are APs that are looking to be producers, or is it for people that are doing that job, or is it for all those people? Perhaps Jo, start with that one.
Well, I think it is for everyone, because I think there's an awful lot of information in there, and you can sort of pick and choose what you need to know, because also we are looking at self-shooting PDs as well as if you're directing a crew. We're looking at PDing for different genres, and we very much feel that you can learn from the other people in the group as well as from us. I think it's mostly for people who are in the field doing it a bit already, either as a shooting AP looking to move up, or as a shooting DV director, shooting PD who hasn't gone into the edit. But, you know, equally, people who are more experienced, I'm sure that they would learn from us and from each other as well, hopefully. And the thing is also that the BBC and ITV and Channel 4, they do occasionally run these schemes themselves, but it's so super selective, and it tends to be with very extreme criteria, which is brilliant. But we want this course to be open to everyone, and we sort of have kept the price point low. We want it to be accessible. We want people to feel like they don't need to tick a certain box in order to do the course. They can do it, and they will come out of it feeling more empowered and more confident.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the other thing is, you know, if we can make shoots safer, if we can make people more able to cope with the kind of weird curveballs that kind of, you know, do happen, because there's a huge amount of responsibility on a shoot, and there's a huge amount of privilege, and there's a lot of aspects that people are having to sort of juggle. And so I do think, you know, if people are coming away from this and they are feeling like, you know, they are going to go out and do their job sort of better, feeling more confident, feeling more capable, then, you know, that's obviously the kind of key thing here, really. And, you know, whether they're a researcher, whether they're an AP, whether they're a PD, you know, I think improving shoot safety, improving the editorial, the storytelling, you know, how we relate to our contributors, how we all work together, and how we sort of feed back to each other as a team. You know, again, you know, if you're a researcher, you know, if you have a better understanding of what's going on the shoot from having done this course, then, you know, presumably you'll go on to be a sort of more effective PD. But yeah, as Jo says, I mean, it's really aimed at people who are sort of slightly out there already with the kind of, you know, responsibility on their shoulders of holding a camera or directing a crew, or, you know, are really sort of feeling like they're on the cusp. But at the same time, as I say, somebody who's, you know, just a sort of very diligent researcher who wants to learn is absolutely welcome. And we've had some very, very experienced people on the course as well who just wanted to brush up, because, as you say, you know, you never really know as a PD. It's so rare that you actually get to be in the same room with somebody who's doing that same role and swap notes and compare notes. I mean, I had one where people were just saying, oh, what's your preferred kind of lens and what kind of camera do you most like shooting on? And it was just really nice for them to be in the room with people sharing those sorts of, you know, things, because people don't often get to, you know, have those kinds of chats. So if we can also create a little bit of a sort of networking opportunity, then, you know, that's also really good.
And so I suppose what, yeah, the sense that I got as well was that, you know, there's no question that's too basic or stupid. And often, you know, you hold these questions inside you, and there comes to a point where you think, I should really know this now. Who am I going to ask that question to? And I think on the course, I found people going, actually, I've always wanted to know, what is that? And, you know, it was really nice. And you guys really pitched it well, in that you do start from the basics. You ask, you know, what do you guys think a producer is? What is the role of a producer? Let's discuss that. Because as an AP, you know, that move up to producer is actually really hard. And often you're not really understanding what is the difference between an AP and a producer, and what is it that I need to know in order to move up. So that, I think the course is really good for those people that are really keen to and passionate to make the move up. They're not quite sure how to do it. Do you want to talk a little bit about what is in the course? Just outline briefly how, you know, the content and the structure of the course.
Sure. So yes, as you say, we sort of talk about all the different roles that are contained within that term, producer, director, and all the different sort of jobs you might be expected to do when you're given that role. We talk a lot about preparations before the shoot, and we really want to get it into people's heads that you don't need to just sort of start in the office one day and, you know, be sort of absorb loads of information and then just be on the shoot. We try to give people a structure and a sort of template to help them be more in control and more prepared. And so we really go through like the shooting script and preparations, the thinking process behind the pre-production process, however long or short it is. Then we do a lot about interview techniques. We do a lot about how you shift your PD style according to the type of program, whether it's reality or specialist factual or obstock or factual entertainment, how that might make the PD role different. And then Sarah does a lot about shooting. I'll pass on to Sarah to talk about the shooting elements.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I kind of whether you're the person with the camera on your shoulder or whether you're staring down the monitor, having a look at what your camera op is getting for you. I basically kind of look at how the shots that you need to tell a story. So whether it's establishers, whether it's backstory, whether it's looking at kind of, more sort of linear storytelling, and how you can move around, when you've got that camera on your shoulder and you are filming people that are, basically what the meat of your story is, how you can then move around to get cuttable footage for your editors. And, obviously, if you go into the edit so that you're happy, and if you're not going to the edit, so that your edit producer and your editor are happy. Because, as we've all said, especially if you're not going into the edit, it's very, very difficult to understand what shots you need to get and how you can bolt two shots together, because actually we go out and sometimes we're shooting, on something like Hunted or Race Around the World, I think, you could be shooting sort of 9 hours of footage that needs to be cut down to sort of 5 minutes of telly. On something that's a bit less demanding in terms of the shoot ratio, you still might be going out and getting 3 hours worth of footage. And again, you're kind of breaking that down into 5 minutes. So, it's thinking about how you can shoot that in a way that means that it can then be cut down to the bits that you need, talking about cutaways and all the different aspects and terms that you might need to use when you're going out and shooting or directing a crew. And yeah, I use visual examples. I use some stuff that I found. I use some stuff that Jo and I've generated to sort of, be a talking point. And I also use some of the footage that I've actually shot over the years for various different programs that I've worked on, just because I think, it's too abstract if you don't have something visual to really talk about and look at. And hopefully that means that people can then be spurred to ask questions and understand things. I certainly think from using things that I filmed, it gives people that opportunity to then say, oh, well, how did you do that? And what did you decide to do about that? Which is obviously also useful because, it gives people those sorts of scenarios to start thinking about. It's such a complicated role. And I think, whatever we can do in the time that we have that, hopefully gives people that breadth of sort of takeout, is obviously very worthwhile for us and hopefully for the people coming on the course.
Yeah, so what kind of, how do you adapt the course according to because it's only been running since last November, hasn't it? And you've done a series of courses. So you've obviously got a captive audience and you're learning all the time from what people are saying and how people are reacting to what you're doing. So yeah, what's the feedback been and how have you adapted the course accordingly?
I think the feedback has been, it's been quite emotionally overwhelming actually, because, to kind of come up with this course and have Jo and I sort of working away on it together and then practicing it together and then, actually delivering it for the first time and then to get such kind of effusive feedback was really, really very touching and very, satisfying. The other thing that then has made us adapt the course is that lots of people said they would have liked more because they were just enjoying it so much. But also, I think, we're conscious that it can be quite intense. So we kind of thought about spreading it over slightly longer, maybe having a small break in it. But certainly by putting it over 4 days, the last course we did was 3 days. And there were so many questions that came up in the shooting course that, like you say, that sort of it is a golden opportunity for people to ask those burning questions that perhaps they've never known who to ask. And so it really made me think, okay, let's break the shooting aspect in two, and let's really open it up. So we're going to go into more detail about crossing the line, which always comes up, even though, to be honest, it's not such a worry on a single camera shoot, but still, because it is a worry to lots of people, we're going to talk about it, you know, and we're going to really open up a bit more in terms of sort of getting that visual part of people's brains working. I mean, Jo does a wonderful section on interviewing, and obviously interview is an incredibly key part of storytelling. But what I see more and more in the edit is actually the interviews are there, but it's the visual part of the storytelling that everybody's not doing quite as well, I would say, across the board. So that's why we're kind of really looking at those sorts of things, and we'll be kind of weaving in a few more exercises and a few more questions for people to sort of really start to think and sort of, you know, respond a bit more in the course. And then we'll just keep honing it, I guess, as we get the kind of feedback from people. You know, somebody's asked us about possibilities of kind of one-to-ones for everyone on the course. So, you know, that's something we're kind of thinking about as well, whether there's a sort of, you know, we're going to sort of probably ask people to appraise themselves at the beginning, something so rare in television, appraisals, and then maybe do it at the end. But, you know, so it's kind of a constantly evolving thing as we kind of, you know, really try to listen to what people are saying as in response to what we're doing.
And ultimately, we would, once it's more easy post-lockdown, we would like people to go out and do some filming, and we'd like to look at their rushes. We'd like to maybe have a follow-on course where people are actually making short films and we're kind of helping them through that whole process. So that's another future prospect that we'd like to do.
That's such a good idea, actually. And I think as well, when you mentioned about the networking side of things, I think that's so important to people at the moment, because we don't have that. That's the one thing we're missing. We can do a course and we can do all the courses we want, but actually, like you say, getting people together who are all very like-minded and sharing those comments about what lens are you using or how do you do this, it's just the sort of chat that we're all really missing as well at the moment, isn't it?
Definitely.
So letting that breathe a bit in your course and allowing that to maybe develop a bit more. So how many people are usually on the course?
I think sort of maybe about 15 is a good kind of ballpark figure. With screen skills last time, I think they were worried about.
And I think if it's over 4 days as well.
Sorry?
What I was going to say is that when it's over 4 days rather than 3, it's longer time for people to get to know each other as well, as the numbers. Because I think if you have more than 15, it's probably you can't get to know people. So that would be the absolute max, really. When we do the courses for the Screen Skills Fund, they tend to put more people onto it. So if you do a Screen Skills course, you're probably there's more people and it's less, you're getting a bit less, to be honest. But so the courses we put on ourselves, we keep the groups smaller and you get longer. So it is sort of worth that little bit extra, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I mean, because that is definitely something we've realized, is that, you know, there's a certain amount of content that we had kind of, you know, aimed to put in, but actually, you know, it's good to actually factor in literally at least half an hour's worth of question time, because they are so, like, the different questions that come up each time. And we've had questions that have ranged from, you know, legal framework questions, you know, in terms of responsibility on shoots, that sparked like a whole 20-minute long debate and discussion about people's different legal worries that they'd had on different shoots, to, you know, discussions about eyeline and putting people camera left, camera right, and somebody that was sort of very worried because they were constantly being told in their edit about sort of, you know, crossing the line, because I think, you know, the kind of show that they were working on meant that it was more challenging to get in and around the room. So, you know, it's just, it always changes what, you know, whoever we're sort of working with in terms of what the sorts of things are that people want to talk about. So yeah, that's why we try to have a good amount of time for people to, as you say, ask those burning questions, and then us to really sort of talk things through and hear different people's opinions and takes. Because, you know, again, I mean, when do people really get the time to talk to other people about their experiences? And I think sometimes, when do people get the chance to actually get a bit of a pat on the back from other people in the business? You know, like if they've actually done well, or, you know, if they've been worrying about something, to actually talk to us and us go, well, I don't think that sounds like that was your fault. You know, I had been in that situation with somebody, and I think, you know, it's really good to be told that, because feedback isn't brilliant in television, you know.
Do you think if it wasn't for this crazy year that we've just had, you would be doing this, Sarah? I mean, is it, you know, have you got to that point? I know, Jo, you've been doing lots of courses for a long time, but Sarah, it's like that idea of teaching people what you've learned, teaching people your trade secrets, you know, how it's sort of, you know, these are a lot of people, you know, maybe they do just sort of think, well, this is, I know how to do this, and but actually you've got to the point where you want to tell, you've created a monster now, you're sharing with everyone.
Well, I have to say, like, you know, I mean, as I say, I mean, I have kind of always been sort of teaching people as I've gone up through the ranks. And funnily enough, a PD I've been working with recently was saying, do you know, I still remember that very first day we drove to shoot, and I said to him, what is it you want to get out of this project? It's really good to think about that and focus on it, and then we'll try and work towards that. And he's like, you know, 15 years on, I never forgot that, because, you know, it's not commonly asked. And I think, so it was always there. And as I say, I mean, I always had the idea about the shooting side of the course, and I'd written it a long time ago. But I was looking to do it obviously not in a lockdown situation.
Yeah,
but
I suppose you would have done it face
cameras
to face,
and in a space, and, you know, having people shooting in sort of pairs, and then looking at the composition and feedback. And I'd spoken to people about cameras to, you know, so I'd sort of put all the kind of irons in the fire. But obviously this situation meant that, you know, we were just creative, and, you know, Zoom obviously gave us the platform to kind of, you know, be able to do it with everyone without having to worry about paying for cameras and paying for venues and things. So it's a really good kind of place to sort of test it out. And I guess the question is, in the future, what happens, you know, when we do, we'll kind of come out of lockdown, and, you know, do we kind of have cameras for the day, or do we carry on with clips? And, you know, all those sorts of things are kind of up for grabs, really.
Well, I think, you know, especially for the group TV Talent North, the group that this will be going out to, it's a great opportunity for everyone that is a member of the group to be able to do this kind of course. I know that's when I did Jo, when I did your edit producer course, you know, I thought brilliant, because normally you would be running it face to face in London. I wouldn't have been able to go onto it. So it's actually opening up to everyone in the regions and the nations to be able to access this kind of content from the comfort of their own sofa.
I mean, totally. I mean, I found it really amazing, actually. We had a course, and literally, I mean, we had Scotland, Manchester, Leeds, Southampton. I think somebody was down in the Isle of Wight, Brighton, you know, as well as London and Bristol. So it felt like regionally it was pretty representative, actually, and that felt really great. So yeah, as you say, I mean, it's great that it's a medium that means that we can talk to and work with people from all over the place.
Yeah, and when we say that it's a 4-day course, it actually isn't an entire day. Like, it's not 4 days solid, because that would actually do your head in via Zoom. But it's basically 2 hours per day. But we do set exercises and homework that's optional, but it could gets you to sort of embed what you've been learning in each session, and it gets you to continue the learning outside the Zoom and then come back the next day and discuss it. So in a way, it as with many things, as much as you put into it, you'll get out of it. So,
okay.
But it's not like 4 days solid in front of a Zoom.
So practically then, when's the next course, and how do people apply, and how, you know, give us the rundown on that.
So we have to check it then. I think it's the next course is the 19th of April.
That's right.
I'm pretty sure that that's right.
Yeah, so it'd be the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of that week and it would be between 10 and 12 each day. So Monday through to Thursday. Yeah.
And it's we're charging £150 for the course for the 4 days. But obviously, as I said before, if that is a massive problem for people, we don't want to put people off. So they should just approach us, and we'll deal with the situation as it comes. But it does work out as sort of less than £20 an hour, which should be hopefully affordable. And we've compared with other training providers. We think that's actually very much on the reasonable side.
Absolutely, and people don't have any travel costs. So
well, and you would hope
their own brew, and there's no expensive, you know, costas to buy, and
exactly. And you would hope that sort of what people gain from it is sort of, you know, useful for throughout their career, really.
Absolutely, yeah. And piles of notes. I still need to read through all my notes from when I did the course. But no, thanks so much for giving us the rundown. And you know, I'm sure you'll go on to do loads of amazing courses and things that run off this as well. Like you say, there's so much more to delve into, and, you know, like, we're all just desperate to kind of like do our best, aren't we, in this role? So we, you know, thank you for putting this course on.
Well, you're welcome. No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I sort of I sit there and I suddenly go, oh, and then, you know, I sit down and kind of, you know, write the multi-camera side of things, or, you know, whatever. We're kind of always brainstorming other things. And then somebody says, oh, how about climbing the ladder? And then we think, oh, well, what, you know, what tips and advice can we give for that? So, you know, we sort of always open to sort of suggestions as well, if there are burning things that people want us to kind of do a separate course on or whatever.
Super, brilliant.
And we've got the PD Bootcamp Facebook page is a very easy way of getting in touch with us. So that's probably the best thing, to just message us on there if interested in this course on the 19th of April or any future courses which will be coming up. And we do offer sort of bespoke and one-to-one, and, you know,
so PD Bootcamp Facebook page, is that for people just to approach? It's not a specific private group or anything that people need to join? If they
don't have to join it, but it certainly is a page that Jo and I set up specially for this course.
Yeah.
So we always post the dates on it. We also put extra resources on there for people, and quite a lot of the people that attend our courses end up following the page, so that, you know, they can sort of keep in touch if there's other courses that we run. Or, as I say, you know, the other day I saw an advert for a BBC first time full length directing program that, you know, people might be interested in doing if they've only ever sort of directed something that's up to 30 minutes. So, you know, there's all sorts of things, master classes with Simon Ford, we post up there, various different bits and bobs. If we find them and we think they're of interest, then we put them on there. But it's a very useful thing if people can direct message us there. And, you know, that's a really good way of getting in touch to express their interest in doing one of our courses.
Great. Well, thanks very much for telling us all about it.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us, Katie. Lovely to see you.
Yeah.